Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Woman Radio. I'm your host Tammy Treyer, and today is episode number 247, and we're going to talk about, let me ask you a question. Are you allowing things to steal your joy? I believe in our current world circumstances, I believe that there's a lot of people allowing things to steal their joy, to deteriorate their happiness. And I want to just challenge you to think about that. And what are you thinking about? You know, right now our world is upside down. It's sideways. A lot of confused people. And it's really easy when you spend your time, for starters, watching the news. That's a big mistake. I think it's really important that you find really good quality, real news locations to listen to. There's a lot of really good YouTube channels. There's a lot of really good resources, and maybe that's something that I should provide moving forward if that's something that you need. So remember, you can always reach out to me at podcast@mountainwomanradio.com or leave your comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. But where we spend our time, what we listen to, what we watch, who we entertain company with, you know, and who we allow to occupy our time. You know, those things can be really influential on our state of mind and our level of happiness. So it's really important that we pay attention to that, because when we are listening to negativity over and over again, or surrounded by the wrong type of people, they can really suck us dry, and they can steal our joy and our happiness. And also, it's really easy to get into a place of despair and worry, anxiety, fear, you know, when you look at our world's circumstances. So I want to challenge you today to think about something. When we were in our really crazy season, when I was extremely sick, had life-saving surgery, we had 2 pennies to rub together. Everything was very costly for my healing journey. And, you know, it really felt like things were falling apart for us. Financially, we were just in such a terrible place, in such dire straits. The mountain man had to take 6 months away from work to help care for me and just help me with everything. I was flat on my back. And, you know, during that season, I really started to realize that, you know, I was worrying and I was anxious, and I was so consumed with our situation. And I realized one day, and I believe that it was, you know, the Holy Spirit, you know, just really speaking to me, in that there wasn't anything more we could do. We were doing absolutely everything we could to change our circumstances. We were on a slippery slope. Our situation was what it was. And I was wasting my time and my life and what little abilities I had at the time, focusing on how to change something I couldn't change. You know, there's a lot of things in our life that we have control over, but there's a whole lot more things in our life that we absolutely have no control over. We can't control what's going on in the world right now. We can't control what people are doing. The only thing that we have the power to control is ourselves. You know, we don't even have control over our families, really. We can guide our families, but how our families choose to behave, the actions they take, the things they do, It's totally out of our hands. So when we learn to focus on what we can change and what we have the ability to play a role in that could make positive change, you know, when we spend our time on those things and focusing on those things rather than the things we can't change, we can be so much more impactful. And the other thing is if you're in a circumstance like we were in, and there's not anything more you can do, what's the point of wasting the precious time we have worrying about something we have no control over and can't change? When I finally hit that place and realized that that's what was happening, and that there was nothing more I could do, and that if I just focused on what I could do and I focused on the good in my life, I could be so much more happy, so much more joyful, and life would be better. I could make life different based on what I was focusing on. And I think that that's something that we've got to really pay attention to right now, because it's real easy to get just in a total place of devastation if you watch what's happening in the world and you start worrying about all of those things. You know, we have so much control over what happens within our four walls, and we can make what happens on our square footage, whether in our home or on our property, so valuable and so priceless and so joyful and so happy if we just focus on that instead of trying to focus on outside of that. And yes, we can make changes in our communities and even in the world, but it's so much of what's happening is out of our control. And I know that there's a lot of people being sucked into that and pulled into that and live out of a place of fear. And I've done a lot of podcasts on this, and I talk about this a lot, but we need to be in a place of faith rather than fear. And we need to focus on what we can control and not on what we can't. So, you know, how do you do that, right? How do you do that? Well, you start by adjusting what you are thinking about, where you're spending your time, what you're watching, what you're listening to. You know, if you're listening to stuff that's just totally taking your feet out from under you, then don't listen to it. Find something positive to listen to. Find something positive to spend your time doing. You know, if you have children, get outside. Have a good time with your kids. Play board games. Read books. Get off your machines. And I know it's a crazy time of year. We had negative 24 degrees here. We had a foot of snow. Then we had rain. Hence why I'm sitting here recording to you today in my tiny home, because the weather's been terrible. So sometimes you can't get outdoors. Outdoors can be very renewing. But there's so many things we can do with our time rather than being on a machine and allowing those machines to suck us dry. With the information and the things being shared, get off your machine and go do something with your spouse. Go do something with your children. Go do something with your significant other. And walk away from the things that are absolutely sucking you dry. Learn how to spend your time. Spend it different. If you are in a low place and you are struggling with what's going on in the world, regroup. You know, there's got to be things you enjoy doing. One of the things I love to do is, you know, artistic things. I love doing leather work. I love working on jewelry. I love painting. I love black ink. You know, I love reading the Bible. I love spending time with God. I like journaling. I could go on and on. I love to do a lot of different things. I don't have to constantly have my head in a machine and my head worrying about what's going on in the world. I want to do things worthwhile. I want to make a difference in the world. So that's why I'm spending time with you, and I'm also trying to help people take their health and their lives into their own hands So I'm doing things to make a difference. But let me tell you, I do not spend my time in a place that's going to zap me. I do not spend my time with people that zap me. I spend my time very cautiously and very intentionally, and I do things specifically that give me joy and happiness. Why? Because we have a limited time on this earth, and I want to enjoy every minute of it, and I don't want to be spending my time in the corner of my home rocking. I spent too many years of my life in a place of fear and worry and anxiety, and those are all behind me. I turned 54 on January 10th, and this is the best season of my life. I love where I am in my life. Why? Because I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't worry about other people. I worry about my family, and I worry about being a light and a blessing to my family. I shouldn't say I worry about them. I make it a point to be a light and a blessing to them. I make it a point to be a light and a blessing to my communities, because I think that's important. I want my light to shine. I want God to shine through me. I want to be used by Him. I want to be walking out His plan for my life. And in doing that, I focus on Him. I focus on where He's taking me, and I refuse to be in a place of fear, worry, anxiety, any of that stuff. And you know how I got here? It was a choice. It was a complete choice. I don't want to be in those places. I want my life to be rich and amazing and adventurous. And let me tell you, one of the most adventurous things on this planet is chasing Jesus. You know, I love riding my Harley. I love being out in the woods. I love doing wild and crazy things. I love doing things out in the wilderness and going off into the middle of nowhere with my husband. I enjoy adventure. I enjoy life. And you know what? I always thought that was the wildest way to do it. I jump out of my comfort zone. But let me tell you something. Spending time with Jesus and chasing Him on the path where He's leading me is one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life. And in doing so, I don't waste my time, like I said, worrying about anything. You know why? Because He's going to take care of us. He showed me that when I was sick. He took care of our every need. We never went without a meal. Our house was warm. We were okay. He provided everything we needed. And we had enough food in our larder because of how he guided us to living and how we choose to live, that we were able to help another family during that time. When people say that, you know, they're worried about where they are, they need to trust more, because God will take care of you. He will take care of every single need we have. I promise you. But you know, seeking Him, asking for that relationship, trusting in Him, those are all ways to create joy and happiness in your life. The more you do that, the more you build your faith muscles. The more you have faith muscles, the less you have fear. So, are you allowing things to zap your joy and happiness? If you are the only thing and the only person that can change that. We don't have to surround ourselves with people that zap us. We can set boundaries or walk away. We don't have to watch things that cause us to be worried and anxious and fearful. It is important to know what's going on in the world. But again, you can know what's going on in the world and not be fearful, anxious, or worried. Why? Because you trust God. I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to know what's going on around me. But I trust God enough to not be taken to a terrible place when I hear what's going on in our world, because I know God's in control. I know God's bigger than anything that's out there and all the upside down, sideways, confused people. God's got it. But we got to trust Him, and we got to do our best to make a difference in our four walls, in our communities. And it starts with, you know, being in a good place and not being fearful and not being afraid and being willing to make change and show the goodness in your life. You know, it's a choice. It's truly a choice. And I want you guys to analyze that and pay attention to that. And if you are allowing things and people and stuff to zap your joy and happiness, make a change and just keep paying attention. You know, you're going to drift off of that path and start, you know, feeling anxious and worried and fearful again. And that's okay. But as you do realize that you're feeling that way and start redirecting that again, you can change. I promise you. I used to worry and be fearful of everything. That's not who I am today. And we have such great power. So don't waste your time in a place of fear and worry. And don't allow things and people to zap your joy and happiness. Take control of that. And don't wait till you're in your 50s to do it. If you're younger than I am, start now. If you're older than I am, start now. You got a lot of years ahead of you. But the earlier you learn how to do these things and you take control of your own life, and that also, when you take control of your own life, that's also being responsible for your choices and your mistakes. If you make mistakes, own them and move on. I don't know about you guys, but when I make mistakes, those mistakes are the catalyst often for goodness, because we have to learn through our mistakes. If you're not learning through your mistakes, which is also what I'm hoping you're learning here, is that, you know, your mistake might be that you're in a place of fear, worry, and anxiety. The lesson to be learned is that that doesn't need to continue and you don't need to stay there. So anyway, those are my words for you today. I hope it was helpful. I want to see you joyful and happy. I want to see you living your best life. And it's very doable. It's very, very doable. Surround yourself with the right people. If you don't feel like you have the right people surrounding you, join my community. That's what my community's for. We join hands and we walk through life supporting one another and being those like-minded people that we may not have in our local community or in our four walls or wherever we are. We may not feel like we have those people, you know, right there face to face with us. That doesn't mean you can't have those people that are miles, even hundreds and thousands of miles away, and still feel the goodness of that relationship. Our community's strong and it's an amazing group of people. And I'm really proud of that, and I thank God for bringing all those amazing people together and using me to do it. And I want to invite you to join us. And I'm not saying that pridefully. I'm saying that giving God all the glory. So please understand that. And you can join me by going to mountainwomanradio.com/community. And if you are looking for a way to take your life and your health into your own hands, you can also go to faithledhealing.com/community and join me there. It's really important that we take our lives and our health into our own hands right now, because if we don't, I don't think we're going to have the support of others to do that. So it's important. So that's my passion, and that's my message for today. So have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to visiting with you on the next episode. God bless.